Hello, everybody. So we're going to continue now on section 6.2.3, but I'm going to recap section 6.2.2 of our A201. I did speak a lot about it in the last session about this 6.2.2 about receiving work and whether that's ready for the next work and things like that. So I'm going to read it again so that we can refresh it. If part of the contractor's work depends for proper execution or results upon construction or operations by the owner or a separate contractor, the contractor shall, prior to proceeding with that portion of the work, promptly notify the architect of apparent discrepancies or defects in the construction or operations by the owner or separate contractor that would render it unsuitable for proper execution and results of the contractor's work. You guys can see these, right? Failure of the contractor to notify the architect of apparent discrepancies or defects prior to proceeding with the work shall constitute an acknowledgement that the owners or separate contractors completed or partially completed construction is fit and proper to receive the contractor's work. The contractor shall not be responsible for discrepancies or defects in the construction or operations by the owner or separate contractor that are not apparent. 6.2.3, the contractor shall reimburse the owner for costs the owner incurs that are payable to a separate contractor because the contractor delayed improperly timed activities or defective construction. So anything that they did is got to fix it. It's taking time, it's taking longer. Somebody else cannot achieve their substantial completion because of you. So they might be liquidated damages. So we might need to charge it to that contractor. So they shall reimburse the owner for that delay. Then we go, the owner shall be responsible to the contractor for costs the contractor incurs because of a separate contractor's delayed, improperly timed activities, damage to the work, or defective construction. 6.2.4, the contractor shall promptly remedy damage that the contractor wrongfully causes to complete it or partially complete a construction or to properly or to property of the owner or separate contractors as provided in section 10.2.5. There's actually a clause, I don't know if you remember it, that says that the contractor shall not damage finished work. So this is kind of saying, well, if they actually did by accident, because it happens, they have to fix it right away. The owner and each separate contractor shall have the same responsibilities for cutting and patching as described in section 3.14. Remember that section? Everybody's got to patch and cut and fit their own work. All right. Owner's right to clean up. So if a dispute arises among the contractor, separate contractors, and the owner as to the responsibility under their respective contracts for maintaining the premises and surrounding area free from waste materials and rubbish, the owner may clean up and the architect will allocate the cost among those responsible. Very simple. Then we go to Article 7. I love Article 7. Changes in the work. Changes happen all the time. You guys know it. That's why we have it here. We are in a very imperfect world. So when changes happen, how do we go about them? I will try to kind of remind you that there is about three ways in which we can modify a contract. Change order, which is agreed upon by all parties, contractor, architect, and owner. Change order. Construction change directive, which is an order. It's kind of like an executive order from the owner or architect, but it's really from the owner towards the contractor saying, do this. And the contractor's got to just do it. And the cost associated with it will be adjusted later. It could either become a claim or something. It's because it's so critical to do it, and the owner knows he needs to do it and get it done that they just have to proceed. If they delay it and don't do it, then there's gonna be problems later on because it's delaying the rest of the project and so forth and so on. Okay. So I typically, sometimes we have a group chat between owner, contractors, and I, and a little bit of, the owner likes this style, thumbs up or thumbs down. It's becoming so organic too. Like I just thumbs up, and then I follow up with an email afterwards saying, yeah, the owner has approved such and such. But a thumbs up or a thumbs down on a text or on an iPhone, it's kind of cool. It's just quick, instant decisions being rendered, and they got to proceed with that change. So changes in the work again. may be accomplished after execution of the contract. And by the way, the third way, I say the construction change directive, change order, construction change directive, then supplemental instructions, architect supplemental instructions. They don't necessarily change the contract, but they kind of do, because it's a change that doesn't have any changes on the contract sum and the contract time, or cost or time, but still is a change and it's got to be added to the contract. Okay. And those are the main three ways in which you modify a contract. And again, it says the changes in the work may be accomplished after execution of the contract and without invalidating the contract by change order, construction change directive, or order for a minor change in the work, which is an architect's supplemental instruction, subject to the limitations stated in Article 7 and elsewhere in the contract documents. 7.1.2. A change order shall be based upon agreement among the owner, contractor, and architect. This is a requirement. The basic requirement for a change order is that the owner, contractor, and architect all agree. Got it? A construction change directive requires agreement by only the owner and architect and may or may not be agreed to by the contractor. An order for minor change in the work may be issued by the architect alone. So if you ever get a question in which it says the owner has issued a minor change in the work, architect supplemental instruction document, you immediately should say, no, the owner shouldn't do that. It's the architect that does that. All right. So let me summarize it. Very important for A201 concepts. Every concept about changes goes around this. Change order agreed upon by owner, contractor, and architect. Construction change directive agreed upon by architect and owner only. That's the requirement. But if the contractor agrees to it, then great. And then it becomes a change order. Does it make sense? Because he's saying, yeah, I agree. That's all good. I can do it. The price is good. Everything is good. The time is good. And then it becomes a change order. So basically, a construction change directive will eventually, if resolved, become a change order. Got it? And then the third one is a minor change in the work only issued by the architect alone. So 7.1.3 says changes in the work shall be performed under applicable provisions of the contract documents. The contractor shall proceed properly with changes in the work unless otherwise provided in the change order, construction change directive, or order for a minor change in the work. If the order says don't do it today, do it in a week or whatever, then they do it like that. But otherwise, they got to proceed with that change as soon as the change is issued. Okay. All right. So that was the general. That gives us a little bit of juice to work with. So now the essence of this change orders 7.2. 7.2.1 says a change order is a written instrument prepared by the architect. Who makes the change order? The architect makes the change order. Who initiates the change order? The architect initiates the change order. The architect types it, puts it together. Okay. So prepared by the architect, and it's in writing. It cannot be just like, yeah, change this, change that. Even my little thumbs up in the text, that will have to eventually make it into an actual document, an actual change order document. All right, that has to be then agreed upon by the parties that need to agree upon it about it. So by the architect and signed by the owner. So it's got to be signed, prepared by the architect and signed by the owner, contractor, and architect, stating their agreement upon all the following. So the architect prepares it. The owner, contractor, and architect sign it. All three of them sign it. Okay? And it states the following. The change in the work, what is it that we're changing? We're adding another bathroom. The amount of the adjustment is going to cost $8,000. The change in the contract sum is going to add $8,000 to the contract sum. The extent of the adjustment, if any, in the contract time, it's going to take 2 more weeks. So we adjust our schedule accordingly, give it to all the subs, everybody adjusts the schedule accordingly, and everything is beautiful. And then the chances are, or substantial completion date, it's got to be pushed. Okay. So I just told you, we're gonna change a bathroom, we're gonna add a bathroom, it's gonna cost $8,000, it's gonna take a week or 2 weeks extra. You gotta put an amount of days for that. Okay. And sometimes I title it, bathroom addition, change order one or whatever. Like I give a little bit of a description when I do them so that people know, oh, that's this, oh, that's that. And I put the dates too right away. 7.3, construction change directive. 7.3.1, a construction change directive is a written order prepared by the architect. Again, who prepares the change order and the construction change directive? The architect. And signed by the owner and architect. Those are the only ones that need to sign it. Directing a change in the work prior to agreement on adjustment, if any, in the contract sum or contract time or both. It's saying, I don't care how long it's going to take and I don't care how much it's going to cost. Not right now. I'm not thinking about it. I want that. And I'm going to pay for it. We're going to figure out how to pay for it and we're going to do it. Whatever it is, it's got to be done. Okay. The owner may, by construction change directive, without invalidating the contract, order changes in the work within the general scope of the contract. Right. Consisting of additions, deletions, or other revisions. The contract sum and contract time being adjusted accordingly. Okay, clear? 7.3.2, a construction change directive shall be used in the absence of a total agreement on the terms of the change order. Total, it means total. Like if we agree that it's $5,000 or $8,000 to do the bathroom, great. But if we don't agree that it should take 7 days to do it, then it's a construction change directive. It's not a change order. Okay. Okay. A construction change order again shall be used in the absence of a total agreement. Because if there's agreement, it is a change order because everybody signs it. It's all good, right? Does it make sense? 7.3.3. A construction change directive shall be used in absence of total agreement. Again, 7.3.3 is that if the construction change directive provides for an adjustment to the contract sum, the adjustment shall be based on one of the following methods. Mutual acceptance of a lump sum properly itemized and supported by sufficient substantiating data to permit evaluation. Unit prices stated in the contract documents are subsequently agreed upon. Cost to be determined in a manner agreed upon by the parties and mutually acceptable fixed or percentage fee, or as provided in section 7.3.4. We're going to check 7.3.4 in a minute. But what it's saying is that if you're going to be putting adjustments on time or cost, I mean, it's just cost actually, on cost on these, you got to base it on something that already exists. So the number 2 says unit prices. We probably already have a unit price for brick. We're going to build this whole bathroom out of brick. We already know what the unit price of brick it is. We kind of have an idea how many bricks we're going to go with. So it's all good. I'm going to tell you how much it's going to be. And the contractor may agree to the cost. Okay? Because it's already based on the base contract. There is unit prices for like excavating, concrete work, carpet, or whatever, whatever that is, right? So, and it could also be a mutual acceptance of a lump sum itemized. Like they break it up and says, well, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. They can all agree. Or it could be another acceptable fixed fee or a percentage fee. You know what? It's an increase of 5% of the total cost. Do you like it? Do you want a 5% more? Yeah, it's all good. Everybody agrees. Great. Otherwise, don't put any contract sum adjustment on the construction change directive. Okay. 7.3.4 says, if the contractor does not respond promptly or disagrees with the method for adjustment in the contract sum, the architect shall determine the adjustment on the basis of reasonable expenditures and savings of those performing the work attributable to the change, including in case of an increase in the contract sum, an amount for overhead and profit as set forth in the agreement. Sorry, guys. This is when it gets all confusing because you may have a problem in the exam when you are trying to calculate what is the change of the cost of the work for the contractor. And you're like, why do I have to do that? Like, why on earth? Like, why don't he do it? Like, that's his problem, not mine. You're administering the contract for construction. You know the substance of the work. You know the construction documents very well. In fact, you issued them, most of them. if not all. So you could actually sit down and itemize things and break them up. And you just got to know what's the overhead, what's the profit, blah, 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 which is also part of the schedule values that you get on as per A201. Remember, you get a schedule values. I want you guys to look up what a schedule values look like, please. It really breaks down the schedule of all the values of everything, what everything costs. And that's why you need that. That's one of the first submittals. You get a schedule of values, and that's one of the submittals, and you get a schedule, and you get a submittal schedule, right? Those are like some of the first submittals you get. So you know when you're gonna get submittals, you know the schedule overall, and you know what the schedule value is. So when you get your first request for a payment, they call it requisition out there or application for payment, you're gonna know what it's based on. It's like, well, it's based on concrete. Let me see what the cost of concrete is. All right. Or if not such amount is set forth in the agreement, a reasonable amount. So we got to figure out a reasonable amount. But it's your job as the architect to actually put that together, those numbers, okay? Of course, the contractor is going to review it, and they have to agree, all right? Otherwise, it's going to become a claim. In such case, and also under section 7.3.3.3, the contractor shall keep and present in such. Oh, keep and present. I don't know what the word is. What's the accent? Present. In such form as the architect may prescribe, documents costs for the purpose of this section 7.3.4 shall be limited to the following. So they actually have to keep some data. That's schedule values I talked to you about, so that people know what the costs are. Cost of labor, including applicable payroll taxes, fringe benefits required by the agreement or custom, workers' compensation insurance, and other employer costs approved by the architect. Cost of materials, supplies, and equipment, including cost of transportation, whether incorporated or consumed. Rental costs of machinery and equipment, exclusive of hand tools, whether rented or from the contractor or others. Cost of premiums for all bonds and insurance, permit fees, and sales, use, or similar taxes directly related to the change, and cost of supervision and field office personnel directly attributable to the change. All of this stuff's got to be taken under consideration when you are issuing that change order. Okay. So 7.3.5. If the contractor disagrees with the adjustment in the contract time, the contractor may make a claim in accordance with applicable provisions of Article 15. That's why they got to know information about the property so that they can actually put a lien right there, right? Remember that early on when we talked about liens? So that's why. So 7.3.6, and as you remember, architects actually can't put a lien, right, Miranda? Hope that's clear.
Yep.
So 7.3.6, upon receipt of a construction change directive, the contractor shall promptly proceed with the change in the work. All right. That's why it says an executive order. They got to do it. Okay. They got to do that change immediately involved and advise the architect of the contractor's agreement or disagreement with the method. The contractor will immediately say, well, I agree or I disagree or whatever. But the construction change directive might be the first email they open up in the morning. And they're like, okay, let me call my guys, so let's get it moving. And they start moving on it. But then they see the price and they're like, hey, architect, I started putting those bricks, but that price is way off. All right, we'll deal with it later. But let me just keep putting the bricks. I'll send you an email about it, and I'll tell you why I disagree with the price. Boom, that's it. If any provided, if any, like if there's a method provided, like oh I just put a lump sum or blah blah blah. So the construction change directive for determining the proposed adjustment of the contract sum or contract type. Then we go to section 7.3.7. A construction check directive signed by the contractor indicates the contractor's agreement therewith, including adjustments in the contract sum and contract time or method for determining them. Such agreement shall be effective immediately and shall be recorded as a change order, right? The contractor got a construction change directive first thing in the morning. Install a brick wall today, ASAP, and we're going to pay you $5,000. And it's going to take you a day and a half. The contractor looks at it and says, yep, $5,000 good. A day and a half is good. I agree with it. Go for it. And then they issue it as a change order. They record it as a change order. I would assume they attach it to a change order and then, they will send it for signature. and everybody signs. Okay. Now, why would you do a construction change directive instead of doing a change order in this case?
Well, we always do a construction change directive if it's a disputed change.
Not necessarily. What this 7.3.7 is saying is that a construction change directive signed by the contractor indicates the contractor's agreement therewith, including adjustments, contract sum, and contract time, or the method for determining them. Such agreement shall be effective immediately and shall be recorded as a change order. They agreed to the construction change directive. Why would you wanna, Miranda, issue a construction change directive instead of a change order?
When you want to do it immediately, kind of like a time constraint, you want to put the brick, even though it doesn't matter the price, and then we can discuss it.
That's right. We want it done. And actually, we don't even know if the contractor agrees to it or not. It's the first thing he says. Is an executive order. He might say, absolutely no, I'm not doing that. We're gonna file a claim. That's not for that price, right? So, but it might be absolutely yes. Yeah, I like it. And then it's like, well, never mind. I'm gonna send a change order now. That's really what it is. It's like, okay, so you agree to everything? Yeah. So I'll send the change order right now. That's it. But you issue it as a change order, as a construction change directive, so you don't waste time. The person that really needs to want it, the two that really need to agree to it, is the owner and the architect on this one, and they just do it. If they're like or a little minion for that one, or a little slave, they got to do it. That's it. So we'll figure it out later. But it turns out that maybe the architect used a very appropriate method, a very hopefully that prices it out very nicely, and the contractor likes it and he thinks it's fair, and they will agree to it. But that's just for those. If not, then they become a change order. Most of the time, you want to have change orders. You're not gonna have construction change directives like every day, because I mean that will piss the contractor off. Like it will be like, well, are you changing the whole project on me, and I don't even have a say on it, because he doesn't. He doesn't have a say on it. So that's not right. And it also means that probably the drawings weren't done right, because why would you have to be changing things by construction change directive like every day? Well, or the owner changes their mind a lot. That's another one too. That's most likely. That's most likely than anything else. All right, 7.3.8. The amount of credit to be allowed by the contractor to the owner for a deletion or change that results in a net decrease in the contract sum shall be actual net cost as confirmed by the architect. Well, it turns out that instead of adding a bathroom, we're taking out a bathroom. And it's $8,000 for the bathroom. And the architect has said that, yeah, it was $8,000. We're gonna take $8,000 out of the contract. Now, I want you to be kind of pay attention to things here. I don't know where this is going just yet, but if they take out that bathroom, that $8,000, it means that there's a chunk of profit that the contractor is not getting for work that he anticipated he was gonna do. He got plumbers for that bathroom ready to do it. Probably mess around with the schedule of other people and tweak it so that it works. And now the owner says, construction change directive, change that. I don't want you to do it. Kind of not fair. So I hope there's a clause in here that says, well, the contractor still's got to get some money. So when both additions and credits covering related work or substitutions are involved in a change, the allowance for overhead and profit shall be figured on the basis of the net increase, if any, with respect to that change. I think you still keep that overhead and profit that you were gonna still make, because you planned for that job. Now that's not what he's saying. You got to look at the allowances for overhead and profit so you can calculate it. That's what he's really saying. Pending final determination of the total cost of the construction change directive to the owner, the contractor may request payment for work completed under the construction change directive and applications for payment. Yeah, that makes sense. They haven't figured it out. They haven't really agreed to the price, but the guy already finished work and it's a month. So he's got to get paid because he's got to pay people to do that job. So they got to figure out like a little adjustment or a little kind of like progress payment so that they cover that until they figure out what the full amount is really. It could, if it's 8,000, they probably like, you know what, I'll give you 3,000 now while we figure out what the real cost is. It may be 5, so we owe you 2. It may be 6, so we owe you 3. Let's figure that out. The architect will make an interim determination for purposes of monthly certifications for payment. That's what we're talking about. That's what I just said. that they will have to kind of come up with a number because they got to get paid for that work that they completed for that construction change directive. It's an executive order, but hey, guess what? People get paid for executive orders. Doesn't matter. They go ahead and do it, but they got to get paid. So, for purpose of a monthly certification for payment, the architect again has, the opportunity to make a determination for those costs and certify for payment the amount that the architect determines in the architect professional judgment to be reasonably justified. It may be that they actually install 10 bricks. I'll pay you for the 10 bricks. That's it. We got a unit price. It makes sense. Good judgment. You got to use good judgment, be unbiased, reasonable. The architect's interim determination of costs adjusts the contract sum on the basis as a change order. So then you will issue a change order for that little bit, okay? Because it was effective. It actually became a change order. So it happened, it was paid, and the owner had to agree to it, even though they didn't agree to it. But because we're working for the owner, we're saying, yeah, that's fair. That seems reasonable. We go for it, So we're gonna basically adjust the contract sum on the basis of the change order, subject to the right of either party to disagree and assert the claim in accordance with Article 15. So it's still contingent. It's kind of like a change order that's like, it's everything but approved. It's done, it's been paid, it's all good, but it's not approved. We'll figure that one out later. Okay, so 7.3.10, when the owner and contractor agree with a determination made by the architect concerning the adjustments in the contract sum and contract time, or otherwise reach an agreement upon the adjustments, such agreement shall be effective immediately, and the architect will prepare a change order. Things that are agreed upon become change orders. Change orders may be issued for all or any part of a construction change directive. Hey, we agreed to those 10 bricks you installed, and we're gonna do a change order for those 10 bricks, and you're paid for it. For the other 20, you need to install them, and we'll deal with them as Article 15 says, either mediation or arbitration or some sort of claim. Okay. Funny, you can agree to a portion of the work, but not like it's interesting, right? Even a few bricks, whatever it is, you can agree to. 7.4, minor changes in the work. This ones, I want you to pay attention to them. What is a minor change? By the way, minor changes are allowed even by building inspectors. You know what? The column was supposed to be here, but it's an inch off. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like the door was supposed to be here. It doesn't hurt any clearances. It's like 6 inches here. It's all good, So it doesn't violate any codes or anything like that. So the architect may order minor changes in the work that are consistent with the intent of the contract documents and do not involve an adjustment in the contract sum or an extension in the contract of the contract time. The architect's order for minor changes shall be in writing. If the contractor believes that the proposed minor change in the work will affect the contract sum or contract time, the contractor shall notify the architect and shall not proceed to implement the change in the work. If the contractor performs the work set forth in the architect's order for minor change without prior notice to the architect that such change will affect the contract sum or contract time, the contractor waives any adjustments in the contract sum and contract time. You guys get it? It may even be that the contractor forgot that would cost him money. Oh, that blue paint that we change it actually cost like $200 more. I never said anything, but like, hey, architect, will you mind giving me the $200 later on? Nope, I'm sorry. You didn't say it on time. No, my chair, no, my problem. So, so we got it. That's the way to go. Okay. So that's a minor change. I want you to understand that 7.4. I want you to read that 7.4. In fact, I'm going to read it again. The architect may order minor changes in the work that are consistent with the intent of the contract documents and do not involve an adjustment in the contract sum or an extension in the contract time. The architect's order for minor changes shall be in writing. If the contractor believes that the proposed minor change in the work will affect the contract sum or the contract time, the contractor shall notify the architect and shall not proceed to implement the change in the work. If the contractor performs the work set forth in the architect's order for a minor change without prior notice to the architect that such change will affect the contract sum or the contract time, the contractor waives any adjustments to the contract sum or extension of the contract time. Okay? Good. Article A, time. Very, very important. I think I told you that I made a mistake of signing a contract with an electrician for a little project in which he wrote, time is not of the essence. That was like the most, I don't know if I mentioned that to you, but that was the most bizarre clause I've ever seen in my entire life. Actually, for the purpose of illustration, I gotta show that to you. I have to. I just really have to. Um, it was the first time in my life that I see the word time is not of the essence of the contract. Because everything we talk about here is contract sum, contract time, contracts. It's almost like saying money is not of the essence of the contract. What? Are you really kidding me? Like, really? The first time in my entire life, and I have to open it. I'm sorry. I don't think I say names or anything like that. But it's the first time that I see a clause like that. And it's like, I was actually laughing when I saw it. Uh, time. The completion of the rough inspection should take a week of the framing. However, both parties agree the inspection can take up to 1 week of the rough work. The contractors does no. Okay, I understand that. Both parties agree that time is not of the essence. What the heck is that? Like, what the heck is that? I mean, I saw it and I thought that was the most stupid clause ever. So if you get presented something like this in practice management or project management or construction relations, you got to understand that what it means. It's saying that they could finish it in a century, and it's okay. That's okay. I'm like, what? It really doesn't tell me when they're gonna do this job. I mean, luckily they're actually finishing it this week, and it's a simple little thing. But I'm like, what are you talking about? Again, so we're gonna see that word here. Unless otherwise provided, contract time is the period of time including authorized adjustments allotted in the contract documents for substantial completion of the work. The day of commencement of the work is the day established in the agreement. The date of substantial completion is the date certified by the architect in accordance with section 9.8. By the way, who certifies the date of substantial completion? The architect. That date is certified by the architect. It's not established by the architect. It's not determined by the architect when it comes to scheduling purposes. The contractor says, I will be ready for substantial completion by such and such. And the owner has already said it on his contract. You have to be substantially complete by such and such, period. Okay? But we are the ones that finalize that thing. We are the ones that bless it. It is not blessed until we bless it. Does it make sense? So section 8.1.4. The term day as used in the contract document shall mean calendar days unless otherwise specifically defined. It's important there. Then we go to progress and completion. Time limits stated in the contract documents are of the essence of the contract. You guys see that? Makes sense? Time limits stated in the contract documents are of the essence of the contract. Really, this means this is not optional. This is not if you feel like it. This is not if you just woke up feeling like finishing it by that date. This is not like your grandma's sick today and you can't finish it. No. If you didn't deliver that on time, you're breaching the contract and I'm going to sue you and you're going to lose. Get that? That's it. That's it. It's not like a joke. I mean, seeing that thing right here was a slap on the face. When I saw agree that time is not of the essence, what are you talking about? Now, the person that wrote this went to law school. And he happens to think I'm stupid. So the first thing I do on this is strike it out. Say, nope, it's done. That I strike it out. It's striking. I will not accept that. And I will put an initial next to it. I will have him initially next to it and put the date that we both initialed, so that we strike it out. We don't have to rewrite the whole agreement, by the way. And I don't know if in practice management you encounter anything in which you have to decide what clause you got to strike out. You got to know what to strike out. There are things you can just strike out. By the way, we don't erase it. We don't black it out. We don't like put like white out on it. We strike it out. You know why? Because it's important to leave a trace to what it was. If you just erase it, then we don't know what that change was. Okay? You can't just use white out on a contract. You got to strike it. That's the technical way of doing it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So time limits stated in the contract documents are of the essence of the contract. By executing the agreement, the contractor confirms that the time, capital, contract time, is a reasonable period to performing the work. If they have an issue with it, they got to tell us, and we'll probably find somebody else. Most of the time, they say they're going to do it by that date, and they don't do it by that date sometimes, okay? But they have to. So section 8.2.2, the contractor shall not knowingly, except by agreement or instruction of the owner in writing, commence the work prior to the effective date of insurance required to be furnished by the contractor and owner. Well, it's like starting work without a permit. You're not insured. Something happens, you're responsible for life safety and all of that stuff on the job site. So if you don't even have the insurances ready, you're already in breach of the contract. You haven't even gotten started. Make sense? So section 8.2.3, the contractor shall proceed expeditiously with adequate forces and shall achieve substantial completion within the contract time. Again, this is just, he keeps saying time is of the essence of the contract. I want you to take that all the way home, okay? Delays and extensions. If the contractor is delayed at any time in commencement or progress of the work, one, by an act or neglect of the owner or architect. By the way, owner and architect are one party on this. You're going to work this together. Most of the time, you're going to find those together. But when somebody's got to pay, it's the owner who pays. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Because I know, Miranda, you encounter a lot of construction evaluation in UL Bellies where who pays? Who is at fault? Who is supposed to be responsible for this? Well, most of the time, payments file between the owner and the contractor, period. Okay? Most of the time. So then he says, if the contractor is delayed at any time in the commencement or progress of the work by an act or neglect of the owner or architect, it may be something that they didn't provide on time, or they didn't approve something on time, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Or of an employee of either, because it could, remember the architect is referred to as in singular, and it's same thing with the owner, it's referred to as in singular, but they actually could have a representative, right? So any of them, or of a separate contractor. Separate contractor, we already know what that means. It's another contractor that the owner has hired outside of this contract. Okay? So it's on the owner's realm, on the owner's hand, on the owner's court. Or two, by changes ordered in the work. All right. So we're delayed because of the owner or architect messed up on some way. Two, we're delayed because there is a change order, right? And three, by labor disputes, fire, unusually late in deliveries, unavoidable casualties, adverse weather conditions documented in accordance with section 15.1.6.2, or other causes beyond the contractor's control, or by delay authorized by the owner pending mediation and binding dispute resolution, or five, by other causes that the contractor asserts and the architect determines justify the delay, then the contract time shall be extended for such reasonable time as the architect may determine. These are the 5 conditions by which the contractor is exempted from penalties for delaying the work. You got to remember all of those. I mean, this could be check 4 that apply out of 6, although I don't think they're doing that anymore. But you can check 3 out of 5 or whatever. So these are the 5 reasons by which the contractor can extend the time without breaching the contract. Make sense? Section 8.3.2. Claims relating to time shall be made in accordance with applicable provisions of Article 15. Article 15 is a baby you guys all want to see. You want to meet him. We've been talking about him a lot. And I would tell you, I don't know exactly what Article 15 is, but hint, it's got to do with dispute resolution and claims. Really, it's got to do with that. So 8.3.3. This section 8.3 does not preclude recovery of damages for delay by either party under provisions of the contract documents. And then we go to Article 9. Let's see how long Article 9 is. Oh, it's long. It's you know what? Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So Article 9. Article 9, payments and completion. 9.1, contract sum. The contract sum is stated in the agreement and including authorized adjustments is the total amount payable by the owner to the contractor for performance of the work under the contract documents. So the contract sum is that total number, including all the changes that we probably have already added throughout the job. But whenever anybody says, what was the contract sum? Well, today is all the change orders added up to today with the previous balances. So section 9.1.2. If unit prices, by the way, I want you to really know what unit prices are, Abelis and Miranda. What is a unit price? What is an allowance? What is you know, yeah, allowance and unit prices are really good ones for you to know. So if unit prices are stated in the contract documents or subsequently agreed upon, and if quantities originally contemplated are materially changed so the application of such unit prices to the actual quantities causes substantial inequity to the owner or contractor, the applicable unit prices shall be equitably adjusted. They may change. Prices of materials could go up, right? We just got to adjust everything equally. So 9.2, schedule values. That's a term I mentioned a little bit, where the contract is based on a stipulated sum or a GMP, guarantee maximum price. The contractor shall submit a schedule of values to the architect before the first application for payment. Remember, I kind of said that before. I'm on fire today, I think, and I wasn't feeling so great. Why is it before the first application for payment, guys? Anybody? Miranda, Albeli, Alan, nobody. Why is it before the first application for payment that they have to submit the schedule of values?
Because for you to know how much you have to pay, you need to know what is the value of every activity they have made to get the percentage and the right amount.
You guys remember my little process as to how do I certify payment? Observation report, pictures of the job site that are attached within the observation report, schedule of values, right? So I will see the schedule of values, all the things that were supposedly completed in the application for payment. So we get application for payment right here. We get observation reports of our latest site visit, and we get schedule values. We match them all up and ring. That's the amount that I'm going to certify. Unless there's something I couldn't even see that is actually stored at a bonded facility. I got to know that is at a bonded facility. They can't just say I paid for it. They can't just say I bought it. You got to show me that you bought it. You got to show me where is it? Where is it coming from? Show me the receipt. I've become very good. I think architecture and construction on these because I don't let anybody like mess up with my money and time. You know, today I was returning some breakers at Home Depot. I mean, breakers are expensive. I know, like, you know, they're really expensive. So it was about $400 worth of breakers. And the person at Home Depot scanned the breakers that they saw. They scanned the box of the breakers, and it was like $117, $173. And I'm like almost crying, like something is wrong. I actually told her, I said, something is wrong here. Like I paid like $600, like $400 on breakers 2 days ago. I'm returning all of them unused. and the return is $173. Something's not right. And I walked away because she said, nope, it's okay. I scanned all of them. I swear to God. And I'm like, okay. And I walked out like an idiot. I'm walking out of the Home Depot, and I'm like, and then I called the electrician. I said, electrician, do you somehow like keep some of the breakers? Like, is anybody stealing from me? And she's like, why? Well, here's the receipt. And can you FaceTime? Here's the receipt. It says $173. I just returned all of the returns that we had. He was like, nope, that's wrong. She's kind of wrong. I immediately ran back, and I'm like, hold on. You know, I was like, it was scanned wrong. And she still argued me. She was like, nope, I scanned it right. And I said, did you scan every single breaker that's within that box? No, I didn't even open the box. Open the box and scan them. She scanned them all. It was over $400 worth of breakers. Dude, so you were stealing like $300 off of me? But why do I know that? Because I have become familiar with, you know, the schedule values from the electricians for breakers. So I know what breakers kind of cost. You know, some of them are like $80. There could be like $100. There could be even $120 per breaker. Like there's some crazy expensive breakers. I don't know why there's so many, but there are a lot. So this thing is very important. And again, I just gave you the golden trick. I don't know if I'm missing anything. If anybody thinks I'm missing something, please comment on the comments below, whatever that thing is. So you got to look at the schedule values, application for payments, your observation reports, and any receipts or anything else that they have bought. Compare all of it. Even the schedule too. Look at the schedule, because what if they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing? Hey, that's actually in week 5. What are you doing now for? You got to prevent something called front loading. Anybody knows what front loading is?
Yeah, when you pay a bit higher percentage of the amount of work than is already been done, and you're paying more than what's been done.
That's the consequence to the owner. But front loading, it means that the contractor has actually asked for much more money than what he actually needs to begin. Now, the first payment is gonna be a good chunk, right, Miranda? It's gonna be big.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are it's bigger than the second and third payment, to be honest. Well, because it's the mobility, getting the trucks, getting the permits, getting the utilities, it's like getting all this stuff started. You know what I mean? So that costs more than anything else. In fact, that's why there is a cost for suspension of the work, because the contractor's got to come back and do mobilities. There's a cost for that, right? That costs money. That cost doesn't repeat again throughout the project, because they're on site already. They're established. They already have their offices. They already have their little trailers, everything on set. So that cost is really big. But from loading to an excessive number, it's really ridiculous. So you got to look at the schedule values, look at what was supposed to be done versus what was actually done. I mean, it's intricate work. In fact, now that I think about it, we don't charge enough for construction administration. It's really a lot of work. Checking all the stuff, checking submittal schedules, checking the submittals, reviewing the submittals, going to the site visit, making sure everything looks good. I mean, geez, it's exhausting. It's really a lot of work. And I think it's like 10 to 15% of the total cost when we divide it into brackets. By the way, that's important to know, and you go to the Handbook of Professional Practice to know what we typically budget percentage-wise for each phase of the project, okay? So again, allocating the entire contract sum to the various portions of the work. They got to show me that schedule value so that I know. The schedule values shall be prepared in the form and supported by the data to substantiate its accuracy required by the architect. So they cannot just make it up. Like, oh, I think brick costs $5. You think? Really? No, I actually think it costs $1. What makes your thinking more important than my thinking, or more right than mine? They got to support it. Okay, they cannot just make it up. Sometimes they make it up, but it's not being made up. I'm gonna explain myself. It's being used. It's using the previous project they just did, like last week. And if it was done last week, chances are it's accurate. Okay, because it was just done last week. If it was done 10 years ago, it's not accurate, right? Because there's inflation. Remember? So this schedule, unless objected by the architect, shall be used as the basis for reviewing the contractor's application for payment. So this is very important. When you're reviewing that schedule values, you got to really go through it. By the way, I don't have schedule values for my electrician. You know why? Because I'm buying the materials myself. I didn't tell him. I'm not letting him buy them. I don't want him to make a markup on me. No, are you kidding me? It's gonna lower my profit. I'll go and buy him. I actually drove to like 2 different places today to get breakers because I'm not gonna just give out my money. I'll drive. I'll do it. Don't worry about it. But there's a problem. The electrician does know more about breakers than me, so he's got to give me a shopping list, and I got to make sure that it's the right shopping list. We're getting to know each other. So any changes to the schedule values shall be submitted to the architect and supported by such data to substantiate its accuracy as the architect may require, and unless objected to the architect shall be used as a basis for reviewing the contract's subsequent application for payment. I mean, this is like a foundation to how we're gonna evaluate everything, right? Because there might be unit prices, allowances, there gotta be a bunch of stuff in there, all right? Then we go to application for payment. Guys, I'm going to leave it here today. Applications for payments are very important, but I rather break it up in here because I do want you guys to go through the schedule values, to research what the schedule values look like, and comment on this video about that. I do want you to kind of think about scenarios in which time is of the essence, and I do want you to think about, multiple choice kind of questions about delays and extensions of the time. How do we, how does the contractor not get a penalty? The 5 different ones I spoke about. And we can continue on 9.3 application for payment next week. I do have sessions with Miranda and Albelis tomorrow. Great, Wednesday. And I have sessions with, actually, I'm like booked. So we're booked. That's great. So you guys keep preparing, keep studying, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Darwin.
Bye-bye.
So,
Thank you.